So today's topic, virtual conferences, and I'm going to talk a lot today, which my clicker doesn't work, so I'll go manually. So if you're like organizing one of the conferences, you'll see that there's a couple of different threads of research. It's either going to be about people streaming games, webinars, or social streaming or professional broadcasting streaming. So I'll take you through that, like how you can level up your game, but bear those kind of in mind. Like 7 topics, that's a lot. And I cut way more, so bear with me. This is the first time I put all the slides together. I cut them down from 250 to 65 slides. So, this, I can do way more sessions if that's needed, but today it is what it is. First thought, everybody's thinking about doing a virtual conference. Let's use Zoom, right? That's the easy thing. You have the speakers like we're doing now. It's easy, but limited in the number of participants. But then they know, of course, there's a webinar function and you can get way more people. So that's nice. But you still require everybody to download Zoom and to kind of get on the webinar software. So that's why people move on and look for more solutions like YouTube streaming. Like you can stream directly live from Zoom into YouTube. It's a couple of settings, but basically you got the whole flow. You had the attendees, the closer in the Zoom, and then the audience streaming their stuff live. Pretty easy, right? Congratulations, you did it. Like I cut all the animations, so you don't have to sit through them. But then the next thing is we've got everybody on the Zoom call on YouTube, and then they say like your camera looks crap. We already had that discussion before this session. So what can we do to improve our local AV quality? The first thing is to kind of go for it that the webcam probably doesn't cut it for you. It's good quality, but not good enough if you want to have it crisp. It also has this annoying looking down angle that you want to avoid while doing kind of those recordings. One of the options is to go for one of the external webcams. There are great webcams in general, but most of them actually sacrifice the fluidity of the image for lighting. So you'll have to make a trade-off. Either it's well lit or it's like pixelated and like fast moving. So that's kind of what webcam gives you. What I'm using today, and then when you're using the webcam, one way to, if you don't buy anything special, to improve it, is just buy more lights. And it sounds so stupid, but a bad lighted webcam and a fully lighted one makes like the world of difference. It's the same, like just adding the light gets you way more a fluid image on the streaming. There's a couple of things you can do by it yourself, by a ring light you mount on your like laptop. Look at my face currently, it's lit by only one light. So you'll create like shadows. So you'll have to do like dual lighting. So you can use something like the key light to kind of proper light it. If you really want to go like Eddie style lighting, you go to the Pro Studio lighting and you got like more lights on the top, on the front, on the left and the right. But that's a whole studio setup. I settle just like with the key light, it's something I just mount on my desk as the light, and it's easy stuff to do. But if you want to like level up your game, what I'm using right now is a DSLR camera, and it looks, I'll just buy a DSLR, or maybe you have a DSLR camera handy, and you just connect it to it. But there's a couple of gotchas before doing it. It gives you like way better, the sensors are better, so the quality of the image will be way better in bad lighting. So that's good. But there's some gotchas. The first one is, if you take the output of the camera, you'll need like an adapter, kind of going from your HDMI output from your DSLR, making that like a camera through an USB connector. So you'll need like some way of converting that, like a Camlink is a good example. Then the next thing is, like, we're basically taking the viewer port on your DSLR that is getting streamed. Like some cameras, you can't disable the overlays. Like, so if you buy it, watch which one you can disable these overlays or not. There's a handy website that you can check on Elgato, like whether your camera supports it or not. Then if you start recording with this DSLR camera and you have this adapter connecting it as a virtual camera, there's going to be a slight delay between the image and the audio. So you'll need something to synchronize the audio to get that perfectly. So there's a lot of work, but it can be worth it. You'll need some permanent power because the batteries in your DSLR aren't cutting it. There's a lot of knockoffs, so search the good one if you want to do that, because you'll just have like camera, you don't know what's happening. There is also a European limitation that a camera is not allowed to video stream more than 30 minutes. And that's the European Union. So if you buy one, you're going to hit that issue. There's a way to get around it. But then if you keep the camera running too long, there are overheating sensors as well. Beware that, like, look for your camera, whether that's overheated or not. It shouldn't be happening if you're not really recording. If you're just using the viewport, you should be fine. Just like your iPhone, you can jailbreak your camera, and then you get like all these things like recording, tweaks, and so on to do whatever you want. Then you basically want to disable all the audio enhancements of your recording like camera, because they're like, for example, they will give you this skin tone that is becoming waxed, or autofocus jitter that goes on and off. So be aware that you disable those. And I'm using this one around 300 euros. It gives a fine quality. And I think it's worth investing it compared to, all the webcams and the prices of the webcams. They're getting as close as a DSLR camera. And it really lifts your game on the webcam stuff. Don't forget, one of the best cameras out there is actually an iPhone 10 or something that you can just repurpose for the video streaming. And it makes you very crisp on that as well. But for that, you'll need like a special app on your phone that, again, like the viewer port from the camera, allows you to have a clear view of what the camera is seeing without having like the extra information on your camera application. So there's a couple of here that you can download, but you obviously need that. Then you can even use your camera over the network, things like Zoom and so on, that actually allow you for a remote camera. So it allows you for better mounting the camera wherever you want to still be like recording it while you're presenting from your desktop. That's kind of improving your AV, DSLR, high level, better camera, better lighting. Then there's audio, like things to, like when you record your audio, a lot of the Yetis and kind of those stuff, they pick the sound up around them. They're made for conversational podcasting with many people in the same room. So they also pick up when somebody in your house goes to the toilet or whatever. So avoid those kind of microphones if you can. Also, if you buy a microphone, use one that has a boom arm and don't put it on your table, because when you're typing, when all the contact noises will be amplified by that microphone. So use something that you can mount on the table. And then if you want to get like really funky, you use like an audio mixer, like a mix panel. But be aware of any ground noises. It could be as simple as replacing your Mac power adapter with a higher watt or a newer version that will make that ground noise go away. And just in general, the first intention is like, oh, I'm going to get a microphone. I'm going to cheap one. There's no magic. Just buy it somewhere in the middle, high end. All of those cheap ones, you'll buy just another one, and it just isn't worth it. Like you'll keep investing on that stuff. So we got the video, we got the audio. Then there's a couple of tricks to improve eye contact when you're doing a recording. just like the little pseudo focus point. You put that on top of your laptop, so you're looking more straight into the camera with eye contact, which I'm not doing because I haven't done it. But another way of doing it is just mount your laptop on like a box or anything, so it becomes higher level, so you get like a better straight angle. The easiest one is to actually have go like further away, so that the angle with which you're watching the camera actually like gets smaller while you're sitting away, and it does improve the eye contact. There's fancier stuff like the teleprompter, but the point of that is that if you want to have the connected feeling of somebody like talking to him or her, minimize your zoom window and put it on top of the screen in a minivised version, so you'll look more like directly focused instead of having to look somewhere in the middle of the screen. That just saves you focus there as well. Interesting enough, things like FaceTime, they have a way of using AR to actually like lift the eyes automatically up. And I think I heard that Microsoft Surface is doing the same, like one of the bigger ones. They're using AR to actually like in real time change the eyes so you get better eye contact. So those are like a different ways of, you know, depending on the complexity to improve your stuff. So that's the first part. I don't know if we go for like one question right now or something, or I just continue, Katie.
You can continue.
Okay, right. So we got everything working on the camera. We improved the audios and like AV and the lighting. So what you want to do now is that instead of having this one image of your camera, you want to like improve that you have like multiple layouts in there. And then you'll like hear about like use one of the local mixers, what I say. So this is basically something that sits in between while you stream. The diagram is wrong, but the basic idea is that you're using this to lay out whatever is on your screen. So you can add lower thirds, you can like make the image smaller, bigger, and anything you want to do there on the layout of the window, like you use something like that. There's many features in those things. One of them looking at like recording things locally, like ISO recording is important. If you have, for example, giving a presentation and doing video recording, that you have both recordings separately, and then you can kind of like zoom in, zoom out, instead of having to do the layout while you're presenting as well. There's a big list of streamers depending on, you know, feature set, whether they're free or more paying, more powerful, and so on. So, you know, you can have a look at the slides for the different things. And now what you actually can do with this kind of what I call an AV, local AV mixer, you can create like a virtual camera that feeds directly into Zoom. So you can have anything that has lower thirds or anything like picture in picture, or while you're coding, mixing the different scenes. You can do that actually by using a virtual camera on the output. So that's one of the features you'll be looking for if you do the, like select one of those local AV streaming solutions. So we improved the layout, and the next thing is what we actually want to do is like stream out. You know, we mentioned already going to YouTube, but there's many different ways we can do that. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, there are many places, depending on where your audience is. You can like either stream from one of those local mixers directly to one of those destinations, or multiple at the same time, but they will all cost you bandwidth because you're basically streaming, sending out a stream, and depending on your Wi-Fi requirements, you know, you might not have, you know, a good enough Wi-Fi to stream that from your home. So there's a solution where you only send like one stream. It's called like Restream, and that one you will send it on your behalf to any of the other streams if you want to. So that saves you bandwidth of, you know, sending out a stream from your local like where are you sitting. There's many of them. I want to like give some caveats because most of people think about YouTube. YouTube channels, they take an approval, 24 hours, if you're ahead of time, that's fine. If like we had one of our sessions have multiple tracks, you can only use the same phone for maximum 2 YouTube channels per year. So you'll have to find like more phones. The streaming link from the live page on YouTube is not fixed. So it requires, I think, the ads, some of the AdSense functionality, and you have to apply for it to be able to run ads on your account before you can actually have this, a fixed live stream. Otherwise, you'll always get a new link for each of the live streams. And that means when you're embedding that into a site, you're always having to paste in a new link. And if the stream ends, you'll have to change it all the time. We had content flagged by YouTube, an innocent deepfake talk. Somebody was presenting at a security conference, we got flagged. So you might have to, worry about whatever is getting on there. The same thing if people start playing like video and audio, that might flag as well. And it can take forever to download a long stream once you've recorded it. So use it with caution and understand the limitations while you're doing it. It's still far the kind of, let's say, the easiest for viewers to go to, but if you want to integrate it, there's some things you need to take care of. We used Mixer.com, like one of the alternatives. So most of the people know Twitch. Mixer is basically the Microsoft equivalent of Twitch for the game streaming. And the reason why we use this is that compared to all the others, it has about 1 to 2 seconds latency on the video streaming. And when you have very low latency on the video streaming, you get a way better interaction with the audience because they're basically not having to wait 8 or 20 seconds, depending on your solution that you're using. And it also helps when you're doing this on the coordination because there's nothing like annoying, like say, are we live? Are we live? And you only see it happening within 8 or 10 minutes, 8 or 10 seconds. And you kind of have to guess when it's on air or not on air. So it has really helped though. It has a fixed URL. It makes it easy to embed. It does require Microsoft login. So if you share that account, you can get blocked. And the annoying thing of their blocking is that you'll just have to sit through 24 hours. It's not like a validation process where I can say like, connect my phone and I'll click on the link. So there's some caveats to do it. But overall, quality is like very well, latency as well. So it's definitely something you consider besides using YouTube from those functionalities. So we got the cloud mixer, the local mixer sending things to YouTube. Like I mentioned before, one of the things you want to take care of is that you don't want your home internet to be the bottleneck while streaming. It's nice if people can wait, but if you're running a 4-track event on a 24-hour, runtime, and if my internet breaks, all the people are just waiting for anything to happen. So that's why I insist on people using something like a cloud mixer. It is like your local AV mixer, but it runs in the cloud as a service. So you don't have to worry when your internet connection breaks that it stops streaming from there. So again, like it sits somewhere between your local mixer and the cloud mixer, and then you can still use Restream to connect to any of the others. This is like one example. It's like StreamYard. It's super simple. It allows you to set a couple of layouts. You add somebody to the stream, and you just use your browser, connect your camera, and you're up. Nothing to install locally. Everybody can do it. Easy thing. If you're doing anything of browser recording on a Mac, be sure you go to the privacy and give all the flags of enable camera and so on. That was the number one like maintenance, like support thing we needed to do is pointing out to people that they needed to allow their cameras in their browsers as well. again, you can add like the layouts, the backgrounds, the brands, the logos quite easily. And I think the nice thing of that is that I don't have to explain that too much to somebody else. So if you're scaling up people like helpers or track hosts or anybody, this is something they will immediately understand on, off, air, share, screen. It's very similar, but it all works in the browser and in the cloud. There's a few levels of maturity. There's Go Lightstream compared to StreamYard. It's a little bit fancier. You have like previews. You can mix in sources coming. You know, it's ramping up in kind of feature set. This quality is bad from this slide, but it means like there's levels and levels of how much features you can control, whether that's input sources, the quality of the stream, whether you're streaming in like full HD or stuff. But you pay for what you get, right? So low level entry, $50 a month, high end, you know, getting up to like $19, $20 an hour for streaming. So, you know, it's kind of more and more. There's several things you can look at. I think we covered the basics. This is just like an overall slide. And again, the overview of like what's easy or not, depending on how fancy you want to get. We got everything running in the cloud, and then there's always somebody who has like, I can build this myself, right? Like it doesn't want to use a service. And what most of these solutions kind of do is actually leverage a feature in Skype. It's like Skype called NDI. And what it does, if you flip on the button on Skype NDI, it sends the streams over the network. So each speaker will be in a separate stream coming from that Skype session. And what they do then is they take a machine in the cloud, either running on Azure or on Amazon, and they kind of run Skype on top of it. And then they use that as their streamer, and they connect to like their remote desktop using TeamViewer, because that plays nice with GPU systems. And then they say, well, you know, we have a cloud mixer. They forgot a couple of things. It isn't redundant. So that, you know, if anything fails or the machine gets shut down or you miss a patch, you know, it's all do it yourself, but obviously you can do it if, you know, that's the thing that you want to learn. Short thing on the conference platforms. There's many of them. I categorize them to the left, the ones with the 80s look, and on the right, the one with the modern look. And you will see immediately when you log on that that's the case. I'm not saying the right has all the features compared to the left. It is just a matter of taste and like how fresh and how modern you want to look. That is definitely something you want to go for. The left ones tend to go with the virtual reality look, like the pseudo 3D look on how to do things. And the right use modern like browser technology, web player, and so on. And that's kind of what they do. Like we didn't use a platform. And the reason why is that we didn't have to worry about the CFP management because we had our own system. The ticket sales, we had our own system. Registration, we had our own system. Analytics, our own system. Sponsor booths, we didn't have because we just played like a video. But if that's something that's important for you, you might consider using a platform because that's something, if you need to build that yourself, that's going to take some time. And they also, like, depending on which one you select, they have some kind of gamification. You know, if you attended the conference, you get a certificate. If you had attended all the conference booths, you get like a leaderboard function that give away the prize. And they kind of also try to do some pseudo social, let's say a variant of chat roulette. But I don't know if anybody's using it, but it's something they tend to offer as well in that list. What you should watch out for, you know, coming back to the 80s look, accessibility, mobile view, that like is something, if all your users are, you know, viewing it on the go, That's annoying. Branding options, they might charge you more depending on like your branding, because then you become like in the consultancy sphere and like the thing that they can do like custom made for you. It's also sometimes a lock-in, like whatever goes in can never go out. So be aware that whatever video you record, you can get out of them. And then there's the price models per event, per registration, per attendee, because that's a different thing. You can have like many people registering for a free one or even per view, and it's all different pricing. And like one of the annoying things is they have not considered GDPR. It's just like whatever you've clicked on, you get emails all around. So watch out for those kind of platforms who don't allow sponsors to really track whether you had an interest or you were just watching the video. And then I found one who was like still explaining that you needed to have like Flash installed. So be aware of any browser requirements on that side as well. Now I'm going into the part of all the talks, the conference we did, and the learnings we kind of had from the workflow there. So time zones, really hard, because you usually, a traditional conference would have been in one place, but now they're watching from all the world. So when is your schedule on? I haven't found actually one of the schedule tools that is well working with time zone differences. So we build our own using some JavaScript and Moment.js to kind of guess where you are in which time zone. So we kind of changed the schedule. Another learning is that use a CFP system. Don't use a spreadsheet for all that stuff. The nice thing is it delegates things to the speaker. They can change their bio, their description, whatever until the last time. So you are not a bottleneck that is just shuffling, editing, that they send an email you. And it goes way easier to replace a talk and use that. I found none of them very well for 24-hour schedules. It seems that none of that is really considering that. They might get displayed on 2 pages, which is not really what you want. So there's again a little gap there, but that's kind of easy to go for. Super important part during the workflow is doing a final AV check. We did it an hour before they went live. You can, depending on what quality you're aiming, you can do that sooner. The most important part, it gives you confidence as an organizer, and it gives the speaker confidence because every conference has a different system. And I want to make sure that they have the right software, the right permissions, quality is good, and so on. So scaling that as a separate task during the conference, that somebody manages the green room, is a very important thing to do. We had just one room where we can have multiple speakers on board them at the same time, because you're like, it's also nice they get to see somebody else, and basically you're always solving the same problems like permissions and so on. So that's definitely something, if you're doing it, that you should do, have a green room or a safety check there. Have a sorry asset. You think things will never fail, but there's a lot of things that can fail. So just having that one image that is nicely branded, that you can say, I switched the stream to the sorry page, and it's immediately clear why it's not working, whether the AV is not working, or you need like sort something out, or you're on a break instead of just showing a blank screen. That's something that is important to have. And I have a part of it, an engineering background. So I made like a failure plan, like all components, and I had like a backup to do that. Things we learned, like corporate laptops, lockdown, ports, you can't install stuff. The fact that you were locked out of sessions by reusing social logins is annoying. I mentioned that already. We had one system that required us to get an email before getting a link, and then all of a sudden the email stopped coming through, and then you're waiting for a link. Pretty annoying. And also make sure you have an emergencies channel, or that's WhatsApp or something that is completely separate. doesn't have to be, it can be in Slack, but the fact that this is like the red, like telephone, like if everything fails, you will at least have something that you can communicate. And face it, if Slack fails, you have something else to communicate as well. So that's, you at conferences, people use like walkie-talkies. That's kind of what you're doing there as well. And the way we set up all the talks is that we had each track had their own cloud AV mixer. The track hosts could change the layout depending on what they saw fit on their track. I just trained all the track hosts. We did 24 hours, so there were a couple of them, and I made them like use the easy cloud AV mixer to be sure that I didn't have to handle any of switching speakers presentations. Then I had a global mixing system that allowed me to go like, and now this room is live, and now that one. And in case I needed a backup, I could use Zoom to the global mixer in case the other failed. So like backups, scenarios over backups. We streamed to Mixer, but we were ready to stream to YouTube in case we had a failure there as well. I've done many live shows, so anything could fail, from a DNS to a certificate that has expired to anything, or the person having to leave early for his kids. Everything can happen. Then while presenting or being a host, I think what we started doing spontaneously is having a sidekick. That is somebody who pulls in the speaker for the other person and also monitors the questions, whether that's on socials or Slack or anything else. Like the track host should focus on the live show. It shouldn't be like triaging incoming questions all the time, because that will just divert the focus of what that person is doing all the time. And I'm not saying this is the most fancy page, but this is how our streaming page looked like. The donate button on the top was just Eventbrite. We had stream 1, 2, 3, switching just an iframe embed player from mixer.com. On the right, we had an iframe embed from our scheduling system, Sessionize. And we could switch between getting comments over like a chat on the website, and then people also got it on Slack. So the nice thing is people stay in the same place all the time, so they leave everything running, and it's not that they have to click through and then do too much. So it gives this like the live experience, the one page. It makes it also really simple to say, my call to action is go to live.allthetalks.online, instead of saying, well, you go to that webpage for that and click through, and then people get lost in the conference platform there as well. And that's basically my session.